The email from the dean's office was cold and formal, a single paragraph that disinvited Dr. Aris Thorne from delivering the prestigious centennial keynote lecture, an honor he had been awarded just 3 months prior. The reason cited was a vague shift in strategic priorities. But Dr. Thorne, a historian of the African diaspora, knew the truth. He'd seen the op-ed in the student newspaper, the angry letters from wealthy alumni who called his groundbreaking research on colonial economies divisive and unpatriotic. The university president, a man named Sterling Whitlock, had chosen to placate the donors rather than defend academic freedom. What President Whitlock didn't know was that his own carefully constructed legacy was about to be publicly dismantled by the very scholar he had just silenced. For 15 years, Dr. Thorne had been the quiet conscience of Clayton University. While President Whitlock courted billionaire donors in glitzy fundraising galas, Dr. Thorne was in the archives, unearthing uncomfortable truths. He was the son of a janitor who had worked in these very buildings, a man who had earned his Ph.D. not through connections, but through sheer brilliant force of will. The disinvitation was a deep, familiar wound. He remembered being the only black student in his graduate seminars, his ideas challenged with a ferocity his white peers never faced. This was that same dismissal, just dressed in administrative polish. He accepted the decision with a quiet dignity that masked a steely resolve. While the university publicly celebrated its sanitized history, Dr. Thorne was preparing to publish his life's work, a book that would expose the foundational hypocrisy of institutions like Clayton. His keynote speech was to be a preview. Now, it would be a detonation. The crisis erupted not from within the university, but from the outside. A renowned international news outlet, having gotten an early copy of Dr. Thorne's book, published a devastating feature. It detailed how Clayton University's original endowment, the very source of President Whitlock's Centennial Fund, was built not by noble industrialists, but with profits from investments in the transatlantic slave trade, a fact the university had meticulously buried for a century. The article quoted Dr. Thorne's meticulous research extensively. The scandal was immediate and explosive. Headlines blared, "University's founding fortune built on human suffering." Major donors, horrified by the association, began publicly withdrawing their support. The university's reputation was in freefall. President Whitlock, pale and sweating, stood before a packed press conference, his usual eloquence failing him. He stammered through a weak, prepared statement about reckoning with a complex past, but the journalists smelled blood. "Isn't it true," one reporter shouted, "that the leading expert on this very history, Dr. Aris Thorne, was disinvited from your keynote lecture just last week for researching this exact topic?" The room erupted. Whitlock was trapped, his prejudice and cowardice exposed on a global stage. In that moment of public ruin, he realized the only person who could possibly salvage the situation was the man he had thrown aside. That evening, a humbled President Whitlock appeared, unannounced, at Dr. Thorne's modest office in the history department. The professor was grading papers, a single lamp illuminating the stacks of books. "Aris," Whitlock began, his voice strained, "I've come to make this right. The keynote is yours. We'll double the honorarium. We'll create a new center for ethical historiography with you as the director. Name your price." He was trying to purchase legitimacy, to co-opt Dr. Thorne's moral authority to save his own. Dr. Thorne set down his pen. He looked at the powerful man standing in his doorway, looking small and lost. "No, Sterling," he said, his voice calm but firm. "You don't get to buy my integrity to clean up your mess. My research is not for sale, but my leadership is." He wasn't refusing to help. He was dictating the terms of the university's redemption. The following week, a second press conference was called. This time, President Sterling Whitlock stood not at a podium, but to the side. The center seat was occupied by Dr. Aris Thorne. In a stunning public apology, Whitlock announced that not only was Dr. Thorne reinstated as the centennial keynote, but the university was also fully endowing the Aris Thorne Truth and Reconciliation Project, a multi-million-dollar initiative to investigate and publicly atone for the institution's historical ties to slavery. Dr. Thorne A.S. Disinvitation became the catalyst for the most significant ethical transformation in the university's history. The underdog had not just been invited back to the table, he had been given the power to reset it entirely. It proves that you can silence a speaker, but you cannot silence the truth, and that dignity, when backed by unshakable integrity, can topple the tallest towers of privilege. If this story of hidden power and transformative justice touched your heart, subscribe to the channel for more tales of the underestimated rising.